in this video, we're going to be solving trig equations by factoring. So let's start off with this question, negative tangent of theta minus tangent of theta times sine of theta plus 2 sine of theta is going to equal to 2 sine of theta. So we're going to start by subtracting 2 sine of theta from both sides. So this is going to be negative 2 sine of theta minus 2 sine of theta. It's gonna just be negative tangent of theta minus tangent of theta times sine of theta. It's gonna be equal to 0. Now we can factor out negative tangent of theta. Now that becomes 1 plus sine of theta is going to be equal to 0. So now we have either tangent of theta is equal to 0, or we have 1 plus sine of theta is going to be equal to 0. So that's going to be sine of theta is equal to negative 1. But also we know that we have to note that tangent of theta must have solutions defined where cosine of theta cannot equal to 0. So that means 3 pi over 2, theta is equal to 3 pi over 2. That is where sine of theta is equal to negative 1 isn't allowed. So that would actually not work. So that wouldn't work. So that means that we just have for negative 1, that would have been 3 pi over 2, but that's not allowed. But now for tangent of theta, we have that it's going to just be theta is equal to 0 and also pi. So these are going to be our only two solutions that work. So yeah. Okay, so move on to 6. Let's move everything to one side. So we have negative 2 cosine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta minus cosine of theta is going to be equal to 0. So now you have negative cosine squared of theta, because one of those get removed. Negative cosine of theta, that's going to be equal to 0. Now you're also going to factor out one of the cosines of theta. Now you have cosine of theta plus 1 is equal to 0. And now you just set this equal to both of them, all the factors equal to 0. Cosine of theta is equal to 0. And now you have cosine of theta plus 1 is equal to 0. Yeah, so it's basically cosine of theta is equal to negative 1. So now we ask, when do these occur? So that happens when theta is equal to pi, and then cosine of theta happens when theta is equal to pi over 2 or 3 pi over 2. So yeah, those are going to be your solutions. Theta is going to be equal to pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, and also at pi. So yeah, I'm just going to box the entire thing. Yeah, so now we can move to 7 right here. Now we can bring 1 to the left by subtracting 1. Now this entire side is going to just be equal to 0, and then we can factor it out. Negative 1, that's equal to 0. Now we can solve the quadratic, but first let's actually let u equal to sine of theta. So yeah, basically you're going to have 2 times u squared minus minus u minus 1 is equal to 0. Yeah, so you can also determine that the discriminant is going to be, you can use the trig for the discriminant, and the discriminant is just going to be like the solution. 0, u is going to be, discriminant is going to be 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. So for u, we have 1 plus or minus 3 over 4. And this is going to equal to u is equal to 1, and also u is equal to negative 1/2. Or you could just factor the normal way too, which would be like 2 u squared minus u minus 2. That would be u minus u, and then what multiplies to negative 2 but adds up to negative 1. That would just be negative 2 and positive 1. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Yeah, so that would just also be like equal to u minus 1 and 2u minus 1. Essentially it's the same thing. So yeah, but yeah, sine theta is equal to 1, so that means theta would equal to pi over 2, and you have sine of theta is going to be equal to negative 1/2. Yeah, so that means that theta is equal to 7 pi over 6, and 11 pi over 6. So yeah, you can just write down all the solutions together. Now you have theta is equal to pi over 2. And you also have 7 pi over 6. And you have 11 pi over 6. So those are going to be all your solutions on the interval. Now let's move on to question 8. Factor. So essentially we can factor tangent of theta out from here. So factoring tangent of theta out, you get root of 3 minus 3 times tangent of theta. So now that you have this, now you can set the factors equal to 0. Tangent of theta is going to equal to 0, or you're also going to have root 3 minus 3 times tangent of theta. So that's going to leave you with equal to 0. So that's going to be tangent of theta is going to be equal to root 3 over 3, dividing that side by root 3, that side by root 3. So it's going to be equal to 1 over root 3. So now we have, for tangent of theta, we know that this occurs at theta is equal to 0 and also at pi. And we know that tangent of theta is going to equal to 1 over root of 3 when theta is equal to pi over 6 and also at 7 pi over 6. So yeah, you can just write down all the solutions now. Here, 7 pi over 6 pi, and also at 7 pi over 6. So perfect. Yeah, okay, so now let's move on to 9. Yeah, so basically we can factor out sine of theta, and then we have, that leaves us with, after factoring out sine of theta, that just leaves us with 3 tangent of theta minus the root of 3, and that's going to be equal to 0. So now we're going to have either, like, sine of theta is going to equal to 0, and that would mean that the solution would be theta is equal to 0, or it would be equal to pi, and that means for tangent of theta, yeah, so you would just set 3 tangent theta minus root 3 equals 0. 3 tan theta is equal to root 3. 1 over root 3. Yes, so tangent of theta, that is going to equal to 1 over root 3. Okay, that is like the exact same question. It was very similar. But yeah. 1 over root 3. This occurs at pi over 6, 7 pi over 6. So it seems like it's like the exact same equation as the one before this. Pi over 6, 7 pi over 6. Okay, that's not in order, but it's okay. Okay, so now for the last question, we're going to factor this one out. So now, 2 over 3 sine of this is already combined. So now we're going to move everything to the left. Now we're going to have negative 3 sine of theta minus 2 sine squared of theta minus 2 times the root of 3 sine squared of theta plus 2 sine squared of theta, and that's going to equal to 0. Now, negative 2 sine of theta and positive 2 sine of theta, that cancels out. So you're just going to be left with negative 3 sine of theta minus 2 times the root of 3 sine squared of theta, and that's going to equal to 0. Now you can factor out negative sine of theta. Factoring out negative sine of theta is going to give you 3 plus 2 times the root of 3 times sine of theta, and that's going to equal to 0. Now you can set sine of theta equal to 0, and from that you will get theta is equal to 0. Theta is equal to 0 when sine of theta is equal to 0. Yeah, because at the degree of 0 degrees, that's when sine of theta is going to be 0. So yeah, so we have 3 plus 2 times the root of 3 sine of theta, and that's going to be equal to 0. So you can subtract 3, and that's okay. You know what? Yeah. Okay, so mentally you can just do like sine of theta is equal to negative 3 over 2 over root 3. So now you simplify this by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by root 3. Yeah, so now you have 3 over negative root 3 over root 3, and then you have 2 times 3, and that's going to be equal to 3 over over 2, root 3 over 2, and this is going to be the reference angle. Yeah, let's get a reference angle pi over 3, and we know that that is going to be negative sine in quarter 3 and also in quarter 4. So we're gonna have for this one, you're gonna have theta is equal to okay, we can just write all the solutions here. Theta is gonna be 3. and also theta in quarter 4. That's going to be 4 pi over 3. And that's going to be 5 pi over 3. So now you can write all the solutions. Oh, also, don't forget about pi here too. So theta is going to be equal to 0, and also pi, and also 4 pi over 3, and also 5 pi over 3. Great. Yeah, so we're done.